What is going on, guys, and welcome to the end of the 2053 season. Another season complete after winning the Champions League at the start of this 2053 calendar year. We are progressing. We are hoping to keep going, maybe get another Champions League. I'd be shocked, but I was shocked when we won the last one. We starting with youth intake. After getting an absolute wonder kid last year, things are back to normal. Absolute tripe. So, best players is probably this Olsen. Yeah, let's forget about this and move on. Now, first off, one of the things to review from this year is the Club World Cup Championship. So we drew in a group against Nigerian side, ABBA, and ATM from Brazil. We went through with 4 points after a 0-0 draw to ATM, then a 9-0 victory against the Nigerian side ABBA, which saw us go through on goal difference over ATM. Into the quarterfinals, we got drawn against Boca Juniors. Now, one thing I would say, which was very frustrating, was the gap between games really did hamper the fitness levels of players, but a 2-0 victory in the quarterfinals, before unfortunately going out in the semi-finals to Newcastle 2-1, which saw Dortmund versus Newcastle final in the Club World Cup. Now, in the third place playoff, we did win 3-0, so we did finish third in the Club World Cup, with Newcastle winning it in extra time. We then played in the UEFA Super Cup, and for the second time in the save, we have lost in that. So, unfortunately, still not won the Europa Super Cup, losing to Middlesbrough 1-0, and to be honest with you, we just didn't turn up. There's no other excuse for how this game went. We weren't beaten unlucky or anything, we just didn't turn up. We were. So moving on to the Champions League games, we started at home to Manchester United, and Yemelan picking up a red card didn't help in a 3-0 defeat. Our second home game to start the group stage, and another defeat to Real Sociedad. Another red card with Paul picking up a red card, and yeah, quite worrying, quite concerning, a bit annoying, but back-to-back defeats saw us on the ropes and bottom of the Champions League. Now, we did then pick up a victory, 2-1 over Troyes, with Makengo getting a penalty. Then a 95th minute winner from Mufasa saw us get our first 3 points of the group phase. Following that up against Feyenoord away from home 2-0, Yemeland and Makengo on the score sheet saw us get back-to-back away day victories. After that, travelling to Manchester City, who, do not forget, are ranked lower than us in the coefficient now, and we got a 1-1 draw in Manchester with 16 on the score sheet for us. And we've just finished the year in Spain, beating Real Betis with Makengo in the 85th minute and then Cobb on the 92nd minute. Saw us end the year in 15th with 1-3, drew 1, lost 2, 10 points. And 1 point away from securing qualification with back-to-back home games to go. We were due to play against BK Håkon at home and then Schalke at home. We need 1 point from them last 2 games to guarantee a knockout round place. It would be nice though if we can secure ourselves a top 8 place. We are 2 points off that now. I do think back-to-back wins would probably secure that spot and see us go through straight to the round of 16, which would be fantastic. Obviously, being the holders of the competition, it would be great if we could get to the quarterfinals. I think minimum would show that we are up there year after year going forward. But we are still susceptible to them odd defeats, the Man United and Real Sociedad games being prime examples of that. Now, we did win the cup against probably our hardest team, which is our B team. Mufasa scored for us, Henriksen for them from the penalty spot, and it went to penalties. But it was a proper even game. Well, I say even, it was 19 shots to 9, but they had more possession, 54% possession. And throughout this whole game, there's at no point did I think we're definitely going to win this, we're going to win this. They were insanely good. So, fair play to them. There's some good youngsters in there who really did impress me. Lewis Paul being one of them. Hartberg at left back. Dawes looked really good as well. Ollie Hill continues to do well in the B team. They're a good side. They are a good side. Now, we did secure the league, winning 26 out of 27 games. The only game we lost, I think it was in between the Marseille games, but on our way to winning the Champions League. Heavily rotated side slipped up at home. Was it at home or it was away from home to KI? So 1 defeat all season, which was a bit disappointing, but very nice to see us get 78 out of a possible 81 points. Top goal scorer was Kolb with 22. I mean, like I said in the previous video, he's a £100 million player all day long. He's just been insane. He has been insane. 17 appearances, 22 goals from attacking mid. 21 years old now, Mexican. Valued up to 43 million. He is now wanted by Schalke, who we are due to be playing soon, so they can jog on. In terms of our B team, played 27, won 27, the most dominant season they've had. Jonsson, who is an academy player, finished top goal scorer, is now secure till 2057, is still playing for the national team. The all-time top goal scorer with 21 goals for the national team. And then Ludwig as well, who is due to... No, he has signed a new deal 2057. I was battling to get him to agree to sign a new deal. Came through the academy, and honestly, I think he could be a top player. No, he's gone to Vesta. What am I talking about? So he's just signed for Vesta, but after scoring 20 goals last season, he is playing for the national team as well. I think he's going to do a good job there. Drunk as I'm reading, I think. Now, under 18s, 124, drew 2, lost 1. Olsen with 37 goals, by the way. And he is just developing into a decent-looking talent. A very, very decent-looking talent. But I would say he is another prime example of players who come through the intake who don't look that good. But as they continue to develop and play for the under 18s, they just get that little bit better and just look better and better as time goes on. In terms of some players to look out for within our youth team, obviously this guy who I picked up for 1.2 million, he's had a good season, 17 goals, 19 assists for the under 18s. He's going to go up into the B team next year. We'll see how he continues to develop. You've got this Haraldsson, who is 15 years old, and just you never know how he could develop, to be honest with you. We do have some decent players who star ratings don't look that good, but when you look at the league, the likes of Mathias Olsen, who is a 1-star, potential 2, 3-star maybe, he looks a decent player, and these type of players we need to develop because they will move on to clubs within our league structure and hopefully continue to develop into good players. And if they don't feature for our first team, these guys are good enough to feature for first teams within the top flight of the Faroe Islands, 100%. When I was qualifying for the Europa League, these type of players would have got into my squad, maybe on the bench, maybe starting some games, so we need to keep developing them so they can move on to other clubs within our league. There's some decent talent in our B team as well. You got the likes of this Lewis Paul, who we picked up for 1.8 million this year. I honestly think maybe another season in our B team and he could be in and around the first team as a good rotation option in that centre mid, attacking mid and striker position, 100%. And you got this Ronan Smith who we picked up. We sent on loan to Vesta this year and he had a good season. He looks a really talented player. I can't decide if we're going to send him out on loan again within the league next year, or if he's going to actually move up into our first team, or maybe a season in the B team. But either way, he's a player who I do think has potential to be a future player at this club. You've got Cleveland, who's just been on loan at KI, who again I think could move up and be an option on the right wing for us next year, if not go back out on loan to a club like KI. You've got this McGinley, who I do like. He's been called up to the Republic of Ireland squad as well. I would like to send him out on loan to a club within our division. He's just been on loan to EB. But again, a player who honestly wouldn't look out of place in our first team, attribute-wise. No question about it, he looks a decent player. So our youth team and B team are looking good. They're looking strong and they look like they've got potential. So we've just got to keep pushing on. Financially, we have 187 million in the bank. We've made 12 million profit this year. We have some transfers already arranged. I don't think I'm going to bring in any more than what I've already got set. So next season there will be some transfers to show you. Some absolute gems as well. We have spent some big money. I think there's 30 million guaranteed to be spent with maybe some more money on top of that. So we do have some money being spent, but we have made profit the last couple of years, which is just fantastic. But winning the Champions League definitely has helped towards that, making profit. And some of the big sales like Runar, who I really didn't want to sell, but we've just had to do it. But our team ending this season was Otterson in goal. Kielstrup did play the last game due to injury, but Zoenga, Mark Quadson, Clean and Day. Vang dropped in that defensive midfield deep line playmaker role after Runar left. At the age of 17, he has secured his spot as our first choice deep line playmaker, and he's only going to get better. Next year he turns 18, and that is when the development within games really kicks in Football Manager, so I'm hoping we see a great player. Now, one of the problems we have, he only has 2 years left on his contract. Inter Milan want him, Chelsea wanted him earlier. Trying to offer him a new contract, you will see. He wants to be that's fine. His agent wants a release fee, and I can't get it to be gone. And the maximum they'll go up to is 16.75. I really don't want to lose him for that. Been trying to get him to sack his agent. It's not working. He's not even interested in discussing that possibility. I'm panicking for that. But we're going with Yemeland and Vang in defensive mid going in next season, I think. I am looking at an experienced Brazilian maybe to replace Vang. And Vang spends another year as a rotation, but we'll see. 16 on the right wing. Muller's been playing on left wing alongside with Paul, who's just been suspended. Corbin attacking mid with it's been McKengo, but Timo played that last game due to injury. Now Paul has done alright, 7 goals, 4 assists. We need him to step up next year, 100%. In terms of generally, top goal scorer was Cole with 32 in all competitions, McKengo with 27, Timo with 22 by the way. I think a lot of them were for our B team. He scored 15 for us. Actually, I think the rest might have been for the club we signed him from. Mark Quadson got double figures with 10. Miller with 8. 16 with 8. And Paul with 7. Assist-wise, top was Korb with 20. 14 for 16. Vang with 10, but he has been on free kicks. Yemeland with 10. Godfrey with 9. Sterler with 8. And then Miller with 7. Now, Miller's a tough one. I've been trying to sign for a couple of years. We finally brought him in last year. He's not been amazing. He has kicked up a fuss here, wanted to go. We have agreed if someone offers 9.75, which is 2 million profit, I'll let him go, because he's just never impressed, to be honest with you. He's just never impressed, so there is a big chance Miller will be gone this winter window. McKengo has signed a new deal and just has no interest in leaving, which is fantastic. 22 years old now. He's only going to keep scoring goals, isn't he, as well? 117 professional appearances, 90 goals. So hopefully he keeps pushing on. Only 9 and 14 in the league this year. I would like to see next year him to score more goals and appearances, especially domestically, because he's way too good for that league. So we'll see how that continues to improve. Let's just quickly look at how the other teams did in Europe. So KI went out in the third qualifying round, but they got drawn against Leicester City, which is very unlucky for them there. If we look at Vikingur, they first in the Europa League got drawn against Icelandic side IA and went out before getting drawn against Nice in the Conference League and got knocked out of that. And EB got drawn against Polish side Pogon, and they went out as well. So very, very poor display from other teams domestically. Coefficient wise, then we have 3.5 points this season so far, which isn't many. We are going to get overtaken by Denmark, who have 39.8, so they're having a really successful season. But we are going to overtake Austria at the minute. So at the minute, we're not going to drop a place, even though we are losing a big points season. So you can see next year we lose the weaker one, while some other teams actually lose quite powerful point seasons. So fingers crossed we can push on, and we're not going to drop this year, and hopefully we can continue to improve and just keep developing. So there's a few more seasons left in this save yet. I think there's about 4 or 5 seasons left before we stop. Then we will actually holiday forward and see how the league goes without us in charge. But that's it for this season. I will get over the winter now and then record the start of 2054. Hopefully you will join me for that. But 2053 saw us be crowned champions of Europe.